Welcome to the Spark Companies podcast, your go-to resource for all things talent acquisition and career development. At Spark Companies, we're not just a talent acquisition agency. We're champions of potential, dedicated to connecting talented individuals with their dream careers and helping businesses thrive through exceptional talent. Join me as we explore the dynamic landscape of recruitment, uncovering insights, strategies, and success stories that empower both employers and job seekers alike. Whether you're a seasoned recruiter, passionate job seeker, or a business leader looking to elevate your team, this podcast is for you. Each episode, we'll dive into topics ranging from recruitment trends and best practices to personal and professional development tips. Our goal? To ignite sparks of inspiration, foster growth, and ultimately create opportunities that transform lives. So whether you're tuning in from the corner office or the job search trenches, get ready to be inspired, informed, and empowered. This is the Spark Companies podcast, where every conversation sparks opportunity.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Sparks Company podcast. My name's Swanson. I'm joined with Aaron Opalewski. Aaron, how you doing today, man?
Doing great. We're over here laughing, recutting the intro a couple times, but
that's all right.
We're having fun.
We were joking back and forth. It's a good day here at Spark Companies, and we're super excited because over the next few episodes, we're going to be sharing to you each of the companies that are within the parent company of Spark Companies. And Aaron today is going to give us an overview of all of those. And part of the reason we want to do that is because of all of the companies under the umbrella of Spark, there are different facets. There's certainly workforce solutions within that. Bolt is one of those companies I'm sure we'll get into. But Aaron, today, would you give us an overview of all of those companies? Because in the upcoming episodes, we're going to spend some time with each of the operators of those businesses. And we're going to bring them on, share a little bit about all of those. And we want people to know exactly what we do, because as we've said multiple times on both this podcast and your personal podcast, Sparking Success, that we want to add value to people. And we certainly know from being a part of these companies that there is value in that. So why don't you take it away? Over the last 10 years, hopefully everybody listened to episode 1. These group of companies have grown, and tell us about that, and fire off ready at will as you go, man.
Yeah, I'm probably well-versed to give the overview, and I'm glad we're having the operators on, right?
Yeah.
Because they're here for a reason. They have a unique skill set. They're good in their area, or they're learning, quickly in their area, and probably both, you know, right? But, so some of the stuff we do, I'm not a jack of all trades in all these areas. We've assembled a group of people that have unique talents and happen to have different backgrounds, niches, like understandings of areas, and we've been able to take some of what we initially had with Spark and roll that into new entities where that's made sense for us. So Spark, Talent is our first company that we created. It just crossed 10 years at the end of last year, 2023, and started out with no real niche. Worked in at one point, I think 14 sectors, and did, different lines of placements within that. And as we grew, that's a lot to be doing stuff in. And it wasn't initially part of our strategy to have this portfolio of companies, but through, as we've talked about in other episodes, through the period of COVID, and we went from a decentralized model to a centralized one, it started to open up doors and conversations, and as we moved to that and learn from some things that didn't work well for us or didn't go how we thought they were going to go, it opened the door to what you now see in these 7 portfolio companies.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Talent, it's fair to say, is the largest company within that. Is that correct?
Yeah, still at this point, from internal headcount, number of placements, different service offerings, revenue, gross profit, all the way around.
Okay.
And, at this point, that's how it should be.
Yep.
And, I would hope everyone in has talent wants to keep progressing forward and keep that the reality. And I think there's some good friendly competition, and hey, records are meant to be broken. And,
That's right.
Time is important, right? Doing things consistently for periods of time, but just because you've been doing something for longer than another company doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to pass you up. So, what better way to have some of that friendly competition, if done correctly, than internally within our portfolio,
Yeah.
right? Where, I look at that as a good thing if it's done in a way where, hey, like we're going to push each other like a high performance sports team, right? The team is important, doing the right thing for the team is important. Within that, it's competitive though.
Yeah.
So we never want to like step over each other to find our success. It's help each other out, realize that different people have unique talents, collaborate, implement good teamwork, and from that, like there can be growth.
Yeah.
If there's one company that pushes up on another from a revenue or gross profit standpoint, so be it. Like, let's learn from it.
Yeah.
What can we learn from it? How do we all get better from that?
I love that. So being the biggest company, it's niched down now into what categories, typically where are the placements happening, or what arenas are those happening in?
10 sectors still, so
Okay.
still a lot.
Yeah.
Automotive, defense, aerospace, consumer products are all heavy
Okay.
for us out of talent. There's some other industries as well, but those are some of the main ones. And then overall, like professional services,
Okay.
which kind of lumps a lot of things together, but we do a decent amount in a lot of different service areas
Okay.
as well. So those are the main sectors that we do the most in. Construction, architecture, engineering, legal are some other ones that we do some things in. I don't look at that like compared to our aerospace and like, oh, we have this like huge amount of business that we do out of it. Like, or this like, we have certain individuals that have a good niche within that, and we'll see where that goes.
Got it.
So we have what we believe are going to be 5 sectors that stay within talent. And, I believe some of those other ones that we see people kind of doing good things in, but it hasn't really expanded past like a small cohesive unit. Hey, those could be opportunities down the line to be additional portfolio companies.
Okay.
Whether that be organic or we find the right company to merge with or acquire.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I love that.
Yeah. The types of placements, though, would be mid-level to entry-level engineering, professional service roles, skilled trades, and light industrial.
Okay. And within those, I know in the past we've talked about the different types of recruiting. Even within that, those are direct hire. Those are contract to direct. Is that correct with all of those?
Yeah, we're doing those placement styles and more.
Okay, got it. Okay, so let's go chronological. So that's the first company that launched. What was the second one?
Packaging was next.
Okay, so Spark Packaging, run by Dominic, and he's a great leader. I'm excited to have him on. What does Spark Packaging do?
So they focus on the converting, printing, packaging industry. They've taken on our food and beverage sector, which was also a talent. Is one of those. I think at one point it was 14 is what I said. And I believe that's right. It might have even been more at some point, but we had a decent amount of food and beverage going on at times. And a lot of that is tied closely, or there's like stuff going on within the packaging arena. So you'd have a mixture of like packaging openings and that. And it's just made a lot of sense for us to move that over and let them focus on that.
Yeah. And they're working with companies, obviously across the U.S., I think most of our companies are, but they're working with some of the top 10, big dogs out there. And I love that. It's really neat to see the different offerings there. And their team is, continuing to push forward, and they're placing all different types of roles, folders, gluers, just... And the list goes on.
It's really the same like placement styles that I mentioned at Talent.
Okay.
Just they own that
that sector. Okay, very good. Okay, so that's the second. So we have Spark Talent, we have Spark Packaging. The third company is
John Joseph Partners.
okay, JJP.
Yep.
And what do they do?
Well, we started out executive search,
Mm-hmm.
and without being too long-winded, we started that company out organic, so
Yeah.
literally $0 in revenue initially, but we were doing some of these style placements like director level and above. We got a C position here or there,
Yep.
but we were getting a lot of feedback that like, hey, like you guys are our staffing firm over here in a nice way. Like we don't trust you over here.
Got it.
But that wasn't true everywhere. We were able to do it, but we were realizing that we were going to have a hard time like marketing that,
Mm-hmm.
specifically outside of like certain situations where we were like, even like, man, we do a great job over here. They literally won't give us access to this over here.
Right.
So we really need to show that we were putting a focus and emphasis on that. And that was the genesis of that company. Well, when you do it organic, you're in a stage where, okay, you might have some ideas and things can work out, but things can pivot too. And so what happened over a period of time is as we established who the leader was going to be there, Amanda,
Mm-hmm.
who I'm excited to have
Yeah.
on the podcast. Well, her background was a decade in MSP IT services.
Got it.
And so we started pushing IT requirements there as well because we were doing that at Talent, and we did okay with that.
Sure.
But it was quickly clear that we best served the clients with Amanda and her group.
Yep.
Fast forward, down the line about a year after she was here, and we had done so well in that area with her. We really looked at like, hey, like we got packaging as their marketing writer explaining to clients what they do. It's very specific. And we were still a little more spread out with it's like JJ. Oh, we do executive search basically in all these different industries, but then we also do IT.
Okay.
And it was just becoming clear where we were just knocking out of the park was on IT.
Yeah.
So we're still kind of in the process of the rebrand because their
Yep.
website's not fully updated.
Mm-hmm.
But internally, from a client perspective, as our new business development teams are out there doing work, all of the IT business pushes through JJP at this point.
Got it.
Literally every opening.
Okay. Yeah, and Amanda, again, just a phenomenal leader, great at ideation, great at filling roles. Love working alongside of her. So 3 down. Number 4.
Yeah, now you're making me think for a second. So
Which one went first?
We got on a hot streak after that. So then we created Ignite Search,
Okay.
which was this kind of segues well. We still really liked the idea and some of the things that we were able to do in executive search.
Mm-hmm.
We had just deemed that like, hey, we found the path for JJP.
Got it.
So we opened Ignite organic again and started to put the executive and director level and above searches that we would have come in through Ignite.
Okay.
It's successful through its initial, that started in August of last year, so
Yeah.
it's new.
Yep.
Really successful first couple months. We're really in the process now of kind of figuring that out. It's, what we found with executive search is, I think it's the longest sales cycle and it's the longest search cycle for sure.
Right.
I mean, we knew it on the search side and we kind of knew it on the sales cycle too. But it's a long-term thing for us now, and we're still kind of getting ourselves established, trying to figure out it's a different search style than a lot of our other styles are. So it's not that we don't have anyone that's capable of doing that type of search, right, or like as many people, but it's just a different setup.
Yeah, it's stylistically different
And so, as we're looking to expand that and get the right people in the right seats, we're probably a little more conservative on that one than, we've been in other companies in regards to like reallocating talent there and things like that.
Okay.
So, full disclosure, we're in the process of building that out and figuring it out, but it got off to a good start last year. and we're excited to see where it goes here in 2024.
Yeah, I agree. From Ignite, you guys started, was it Flex?
Close. So we also started companies, which,
Okay.
Here we are
Yep.
at that same time. And, what we decided, we run a lot of our shared services for our operations out of Spark Talent.
Right.
But moving into having these 4 entities, and, we were like, okay, like we're going to now beef up the finance end of what we're doing. And we want to start to put more infrastructure into a company that kind of provides oversight to all the other entities.
Yeah.
So we've started with finance. Long term, we'd like to see operations out of companies as well.
Yep.
And then we've started the move where our new business development team, right now, part of it sits out of companies. Before the end of the year, all of the new business development team will sit out of companies.
Got it.
And support the rest of the portfolio on generating, business into the funnel for them to look at.
Got it. Okay. And I let the cat out of the bag. The next one is Flex.
Yes.
And what does Flex do?
So Flex specializes. So we do a lot of work in the automation industry. We're based out of Detroit, Michigan. Now we're servicing, I think 42 states.
Okay.
Between the companies, I believe that's still the number. I don't think we've added like Alaska or
Right.
any of the outliers. To my knowledge. But so Flex is in an industry that we do a lot in, but we wanted to focus more on like the technical side. So the program managers, the controls engineers, the mechanical engineers. We've done a lot in that industry historically on the skilled trades end.
Okay.
And on like more of the like manufacturing on the floor
Got it.
end of that. And we have had a lot of success with engineering placements and, one-off program managers. And it's not that we haven't done those at Talent. We have.
Yeah.
We have the skill set. We have the people within our pipeline. We have the know-how to do it. But the demand comes hot and heavy at Talent on the other end. And within our technical teams, we do so much other technical engineering business that we just weren't able to nail that on the head on how to like expand that side out of automation.
Okay.
Well, the stars aligned, and Julie and I have been. Well, we competed against each other for almost a decade.
Okay.
And developed a respect for each other during that time. When you're competing against someone at a high level, you hope that you develop a respect for them and a rapport with them. And even though you're competing every day, you're like, man, like, they're pretty good at this. And that definitely was true. I've always thought highly of her. Other people spoke well of her, right? Like, and over the years, probably on the front end of that, I was more like, oh, like, let's just, let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm still competitive that way, right? But like, we started communicating more on LinkedIn, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And, we were trying to figure out how to expand this automation thing. And this predates us having these other companies. So to me, it's interesting. Maybe it won't be interesting. Like when we talk about it.
Sure.
But it was like, so before we had this vision for doing this, and she had just went on and started something new.
Okay.
And she's like, hey, that sounded interesting, but I want to give this a shot at what I'm doing. Like, I just committed to something. Like, I'm all in on that. And I respect that. Like,
right.
Totally respect it. And, we kept in touch and we like each other's stuff on LinkedIn. And, if I couldn't place a candidate, like we couldn't place a candidate and like, hey, like, here you go. Do you have anything? And, I don't even know that we actually did anything that way, but just kind of kept in touch. And, over the years, like, I think like, okay, that was like a 3-year period or so. We didn't talk every day or, but we'd keep in touch and just do some of that, right? You interact online. And, the stars aligned where she was in a position where she was ready to make a change.
Right.
And we were able to put that together. And now what, I look at it like a kind of a God thing.
Yeah.
But like we had solidified more what our vision was for growing these things out. And that was very enticing to a top performer like Julie, who's never owned, had ownership in a company before. And now there was this opportunity to do that. And, here we are,
Yeah.
so they're now handling a lot of the engineering, program management, openings like that within the automation industry.
Got it. Okay. And then I think we're on the last one, which I know a little bit about.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead on that one?
No, you talk. I like you talking. I'm the host. So the
Okay.
last one is Bolt. It was
Yes.
started right at the beginning of this year, 2024.
We did.
And share a little bit about the vision of that.
Well, man, for probably about 5 years, I've wanted to up what we're doing on the content creation. I want to tweak how we do training and development. I wanted to get our message out there in some different ways, and I have some mentors that do that extremely well.
Yeah.
And it's been something that's been, I think, impactful on their lives and their businesses and all the people that associate with them or work within those businesses, right?
Yeah.
So it's really an area that I think pre-2018 I knew nothing about.
Okay.
And definitely one of those things where it's like the more you learn, the less you feel like you know.
Yeah.
So I with what we've been able to put together, like I feel like I know very little still
Sure.
about the content world, about, really the marketing world overall. But I wanted to see us, not just work with like an outsourced company, which, we've done some of that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's been great.
Yeah.
That was a season of that. But I really wanted to see us figure out how to bring that in-house.
Yeah.
And once again, within the vision that we've set up within these portfolio companies, this was a great vehicle to make that happen and make it really a vertical integration where, yes, we were looking at doing external business outside of the portfolio,
Right.
but the first customers are inside the portfolio.
Yeah.
Talent, packaging,
Yep.
Ignite.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to talk to some of the other, entities, Spark companies.
Yep.
Here we are.
Yeah.
This is part of it, right? So it's really brought something that's been a vision for the better half of, half a decade,
Right.
and started to bring it to fruition into where we're starting to execute on it.
Yeah.
And we got a long way to go and a
Certainly.
lot to learn, and can't wait to get our full-time studio.
Yeah.
It's getting
Yeah. We're
close.
in like the final countdown, I feel like, which is so awesome.
But I love the fact that like we took some steps forward.
Yeah.
Some big steps, some
Yep.
big steps for you, some
Certainly.
big steps for myself,
Yep.
some big steps for, Dom,
Yeah.
who's involved. And it's exciting. And I'm a big proponent of like, you can't plan forever.
Right.
And like, look, it took us 5 years to figure out how we were going to go on that,
Mm-hmm.
but here we are.
Yep.
And there was points in time where I'm like, man, like we're not like, how are we going to get this figured out? But,
Yeah.
like, again, I think God has his timing.
Yep.
He's never in a rush. And, we've practiced some aggressive patience. And when we saw the window and like, hey, here's how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
I think we started really talking in November.
Yeah.
And by January, maybe it was October.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you were here by November.
Yeah.
And we officially started
Right.
by January. So I just think it embodies what we're all about.
Yeah.
You don't have to know everything to take steps forward. And I think you probably heard a lot of that. And it's like, oh, we did this organic or we did that organic. Like, yes, we've done some merger stuff, but a lot of it's been organic, and we've drafted off other successes or failures on how we were going to, basically bring that into the portfolio and do
Yeah.
better. And Bolt's just another example of that.
Yeah. I'm humbled by that.
How'd I do?
You did great. I have this looming question that I don't think A, I've ever heard,
Okay.
or B, I don't think we've ever talked about. So obviously we primarily have workforce solution companies.
Correct.
How did you come up with the name Spark?
Get asked. I get asked this now, so I'm a little rusty on my answer. But
Yeah.
I'll just try and answer.
I mean, at
from
this
what
point,
I
you can make
recall.
up whatever you
Yeah.
want,
No,
right?
from what I recall. So, I had some. I joked that I had some time. I had like 8 or 9 months to figure out what the name was going to be.
Yep.
And yeah, I really like the name.
Mm-hmm.
I still like the name.
I do too.
So, but we look at like what we get to do for people, what this industry's done for me. Like it really it lit something in me.
Yeah.
It changed my life.
Yeah.
And it's something that I love about what we do is that like I get to be. It's not for everybody, and it's really hard. What we do, and it doesn't mean that I'm motivated. Like I consider myself pretty motivated, right?
Yeah.
But like I'm not motivated all the time, or every day I'm doing something that I don't want to do. Like or I'm not always like feeling like at my A game, but things got to go get done.
Yeah.
Right. But overall, this industry is just. It's lit a spark in me.
Yeah.
And as I got 8 or 9 months to think about it, and I'm like, I really like that as a name because it's definitely done that for me. At that point, I feel like I had been able to help bring a couple other people into the industry, and it's become a career for them. And so do that, for them.
Yeah.
And, that was kind of the genesis of it. And then I look at it like I believe what we do every day is we need to put people in a better position, give them an opportunity. Yes, within placements that we do, they're going to have like base skills and there's things like that, right? But we also have people that start out as laborers that, run plants now, run companies now, have gone off to start their own companies, like all this kind of stuff, right? Well, it starts with giving someone an opportunity, putting them in the position, and then it's what they do with it. But we can be that initial spark. So,
man, I love that. I think that's
hopefully you can turn that into a cool video at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that's just I love that.
Yeah. It was somewhere in the realm of that. Like that was the thought process.
Yeah, this is a question that often gets asked within families. Do you have a favorite child?
No,
I'm just kidding.
Man, I love them all the same.
But that's good. That's good. Aaron's got a couple of kids, so that's good practice. I always say the benefit I have in that is I have a boy and a girl. So I say, you're my favorite girl, you're my favorite boy.
There you go.
And I always laugh at that. Aaron, it's so neat to watch things happen around here, and I can't wait for people to get beyond just the brief overview. And then within that, dive into each of our companies. There's certainly something to learn in each of those. And maybe as you're listening or watching today, you have a question about one of our companies. Just go ahead and drop it down in the comments. Go ahead and share this with someone. We would love to learn alongside of you and have you learn alongside of us. And as you do that, just know that we're here not only to interact with you, but also to just really dive in to all that Spark has to offer. Aaron, thanks a ton again for just sharing the overview, and I'm super excited to see each of the companies come on the podcast as well.
I am as well.
Awesome. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you soon.